on Memorial Day weekend, we welcome you to Philadelphia. And we are at Citizens Bank Park as the Dodgers and Phillies get ready to play the second game of this three-game series. Hi again, everybody. Charlie Steiner and Oral Hershiser. Alana Rizzo will join us a little later on. For the Dodgers, this is their 50th game of the season. The five outfielders have done exceptionally well so far this year. Yasiel Puig already making a case for MVP. At the moment, he's second in league average at 343, sixth with 10 home runs, and he is second with 38 runs batted in. But he's not the only hot outfielder these days.
No, not at all. When you're Don Mattingly, you're trying to take five pieces and fit it into three. Maybe you start with the framework, and the framework now is really starting to be Carl Crawford in left field. The bat got hot at the beginning of the year. He was off. But you know what? A home run got him going, and a home run last night got the Dodgers going. But also his glove in left field, the aggressiveness that he is playing with. Bases loaded, no out. That line drive catch saved J.P. Howell, saved the Dodgers, and really rescued the victory. But overall, the daily production has kept him in the lineup. And you can see, Charlie, he has really turned this around.
In talking with Carl Crawford before the game today, he said to me this is as healthy as he has been since the end of the 2010 season when he played in Tampa. So we're getting ready for the second game of this three-game set, and when we come back, Dan Herron faces David Buchanan, who's going to be making his Major League debut for the Phillies. Back to Philadelphia after this. Philadelphia with a 1-3 chance of rain today. Closed captioning is brought to you by Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza. Dodgers coming off the 2-0 shutout win over the Phillies last night. We'll be sending out Dan Herron in search of his 5th win of the year. And here's the lineup that Don Mattingly has put together, which includes a last-minute change. D. Gordon leads off at second base. He'll be followed by Justin Turner, who had been moved up from the 7th spot in the lineup to the 2 hole. Yasiel Puig, of course, he's hot as anybody in the league. Adrian Gonzalez, Carl Crawford, Andre Ethier, A.J. Ellis, you see Arizbel Arabarena batting 8th. He is a last-minute insertion into the lineup. The last-minute scratch was Hanley Ramirez, a left calf issue, and how bad it is we don't know because we didn't find out about it until but a couple of minutes ago. And this afternoon's starting pitcher for the Phillies, as the Phillies take the field, is David Buchanan, who is making his major league debut.
25-year-old, 6'3", 200-pounder, a sinker, slider, change guy, coming off a rough outing. His last outing in AAA, only went 1 inning, gave up 5 hits, 4 runs, and 4 earned, and he has had first inning troubles even in the minor leagues. A top prospect with the Phillies, not overpowering. Pitches to the corner, tries to get ground balls, and has impressed scouts just with his consistency.
He was a non-roster invitee to spring training this year, and he opened some eyes. At a 2.25 ERA, 3 earned runs in 12 innings, 11 strikeouts, 2 walks. And as you mentioned, Oral, nothing overpowering, but he's got a pretty full tool chest.
Yeah, he does, and he has very good athletic ability. He's a guitar player, a drummer, a golfer, does a lot of things very well as far as eye-hand coordination and rhythm.
And so Buchanan becoming the first ever player to come out of Georgia State University to play in the major leagues. He is from Atlanta. It'll be Gordon and Turner and Puig leading off for the Dodgers, who begin this Saturday afternoon. 4.5 games behind the San Francisco Giants. Giants lead Colorado by 4. The Dodgers a half game behind the Rockies. San Diego 8.5 off the pace. And Arizona falling fast. 13 games under 500 and 12.5 games behind the Giants. And so the Dodgers at 26-23 have won 3 of their last 4. They have gone 4-3 on this road trip. And they play, of course, this afternoon, tomorrow, and head home for a 5 o'clock start on Monday against the Cincinnati Reds when the Dodgers begin a 9-game homestand. So here is Gordon leading off, and D, what a night last night, had 3 stolen bases, and D is at .295 with 1 home run and 12 runs batted in. So this is the first time we are seeing David Buchanan, and the righty deals. Little check swing. Rollins has to come in and hurry, and he does, and just gets Gordon by a step. Defensively for the Phillies today, Cesar Hernandez at third base, Jimmy Rollins at short, Chase Utley at second base, and Ryan Howard at first. Dominic Brown in left field, Ben Revere back in center, Marlon Byrd is in right, and Chooch, Carlos Ruiz, is behind the plate. So Justin Turner starting at third base this afternoon. Last night it was Sean Figgins. Turner at 2 1/4 with a home run and 7 runs batted in. Puig is on deck, and Turner takes a strike, 0-1. Really, up until about 5 or 10 minutes ago, the thought and expectation was that Hanley Ramirez would be at shortstop this afternoon, a last-minute scratch, and so the lineup was juggled a bit, and here's Turner in the 2-hole. That is 1 ball, 1 strike.
Originally scheduled to have Yasiel Puig and then Hanley Ramirez in the 3-hole, but when the change came down, Turner slipped up. He was originally down in the 7-hole.
So Ellis was moved up from 8th to 7th. Arabarena is going to be batting 8th, and here's Turner batting 2nd. So Mattingly had to shuffle the deck at the last instant. Wind is blowing in and toward right field. 1-3 chance of rain over the next few hours. And a ground ball to third. Hernandez goes on, 2 gone. Cesar Hernandez, playing at double and AAA this year, was primarily on the right side of the infield. He's learning on the job at third base and made a nice play last night as well. Well, now here's Puig.
And the challenge Puig is for David Buchanan, making his major league debut, getting the first 2 hitters out, maybe getting the butterflies to fly in formation out there on the mound. He has had first inning jitters even in AAA, where he's posted an 11 ERA in AAA in 9 starts.
Puig got on base all 5 times last night with 3 hits and a couple of walks. And at .343, he is second in the National League. Sixth with 10 home runs, and second in the league with 38 runs batted in, and an on-base percentage of .438. Breaks his bat and grounds to short. And a 1-2-3 inning for David Buchanan, who can exhale after his first 8 pitches in Major League Baseball. Dan Herron coming out to pitch the bottom of the first. Inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 2005. Originally selected by the Phillies in the 20th round of the 1978 draft. And he made his Major League debut with the Phillies in 1981. And here he is in his first full year as the manager of the Phils. And here's the lineup he's put together. Marlon Byrd has had a great career against Dan Herron. Got a hit half the time he's come to the plate. Dominic Brown back in left field this afternoon. Had the night off last night. Ruiz behind the plate. Hernandez and Buchanan. And this afternoon's starting pitcher for the Dodgers, brought to you by Honda, is Dan Herron.
Dan Herron going with the high Sox today, probably trying to wash away the worst outing that he had of the year, where he gave up 4 earned runs against Arizona. A season-high 110 pitches his last outing, but here today he wants to be a lot sharper, especially with the split finger, to try and get the ball hit on the ground with that wind blowing out to right field today.
Herron 4-0 and a .239 ERA in his first 6 starts. But in his last 3, 1-2 and an ERA of 4 3/4, so he's looking to turn things around as Ben Revere takes a strike. It's 0-1. Revere's been battling a virus the last week or 10 days, and he grounds it fair up the first base line. And Revere, who's got good speed, is on his way to second base. A line hugger, and for Revere, a leadoff 2-base hit.
Yeah, very good pitch. Good sinker slash splitter right there. Gets a really ground ball that just finds its place down the line. A tough way to start the game if you are Dan Herron, and a very good way to start the game if you are the Philadelphia Phillies.
Ben Revere has 39 hits this season, and that was just his first double. Well, the Phillies shut out 2-0 last night. We're 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position. Rollins bunts it in the air, and A.J. Ellis makes an easy play. There's 1 out. Defensively for the Dodgers this afternoon. Turner at third. Arabarena is a last-minute insertion at short. Calf issue for Hanley Ramirez. Gordon and Gonzalez on the right side. Crawford, Ethier, and Puig. In the outfield, A.J. Ellis is behind the plate. And Dan Herron is making his 10th start of the season. Overall, a record of 5-2 and a .318 ERA. And Chase Utley steps in. Utley last night had a double in 4 at-bats.
Chase Utley has been swinging the bat very, very well all year. The top of the league in a lot of categories. And this is a challenge right here when you have a guy who's swinging the bat like him.
Utley at .335 is 3rd in the National League in batting. So you can make a pretty good case that the 2 best second basemen in the National League are on display today. D. Gordon for the Dodgers, and of course here is Utley. 3 home runs, 22 RBIs, leads the league with 20 2-base hits. And he pops it up. Wind is going to be an issue today, and Ellis bobbled. The wind is blowing in and toward right field. And so the fielders, including A.J. Ellis, are not going to have a whole lot of fun dealing with it.
A.J. comes over and he's trying to time this because he doesn't really realize where the ball is going to come down because of that wind issue. The catchers have a difficult time catching pop-ups without the wind, but then when the wind plays havoc, the spin does things to you. And they go behind you like that and come back to you.
So let's see if Utley can capitalize on the miscue by Ellis. And a fly ball to right. Puig is at the wall and it's gone. So A.J. Ellis has to be kicking himself as Utley is trotting around the bases with his 4th home run of the year, and the Phillies take a 2-0 lead.
The ball that got the pop-up behind home plate that Ellis miscued was a cutter inside. They came back with the same exact pitch, and Utley made an adjustment and really pulled his hands in to get the barrel on this one, and he knew as soon as it was gone, any ball to right field in the air is going to be out of here. This wind is really taking these balls that leave and go that way a long way.
For Utley, his 4th home run of the year, Herron serves up his 6th long ball. And now Ryan Howard. Howard at .234, 7 home runs and 25 runs batted in. Phillies are 13-9 when they score first. Dodgers are 7-15 when the opposition scores first. And Utley to UCLA, lives up in San Francisco these days. And that one is drilled to right. If it's fair, it is gone. Well, it turns out to be neither.
Dan Herron is going to try and keep the ball away from right field, and by doing that, he's trying to throw his cutter in on these left-handed hitters and jamming them. And if they are going to get the head out, pull it foul like that. Other than that, he's going to have to keep his split finger down and away like he attempted right there at 82 miles an hour, or his two-seam fastball away, and hope that they try and pull the ball and they hit the top of it and hit ground balls. But this is almost like you were playing a sandlot game and you didn't have enough fielders and you say right field is out. Well, right field is out. It's a home run.
Howard checks his swing. The count is full, 3-2. Marlon Byrd on deck. Herron, last 3 starts above and beyond the home runs he's given up, bearing little resemblance to his first 6 starts. Herron won his first 4 decisions in 6 starts, an ERA of .239. Opponents were hitting .252 against him. But in his last 3 starts, they're hitting a collective .304 against him. He strikes out Howard here and has an ERA of 4 3/4.
That just pours salt into the wound of catcher A.J. Ellis, because you think, oh, if I would have caught it, well, you'd probably have to face him anyway. But now, striking out Howard, that means Dan Herron would have been out of the inning if he catches the pop-up of Chase Utley. Instead of being up 2-0, you're thinking, boy, this is an 0-0 game if I could just caught that pop-up. But
it isn't. Ellis has to deal with it as Marlon Byrd steps into the batter's box. Bird at 291, and over the course of his career, he has enjoyed facing Dan Haren. 12 for 24, 7 of the 12 hits against Haren by Bird have been extra base hits. Marlon Bird last night was struck out 3 times. He went 0 for 4. And he whacks it foul up the third base line. Dodgers are facing a 25-year-old rookie, David Buchanan, who is making his major league debut. He happened to retire the Dodgers in order on just 8 pitches in the first inning. This is a Philly team that has really struggled lately. They've lost 3 in a row and 7 of their last 10. And last night, 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position and left 8 men on base.
You know, a lot of those leaving runners in scoring position for them too were strikeouts, and that was the key out for the Dodgers, getting out of those jams.
Gonzalez has a long way to go, and he's going to run out of room. That was wind aided about 10 rows back. Last night the Phillies had first and second, nobody out in the 4th. Kershaw would then strike out the side. In the 6th inning they had first and second, nobody out, and came up empty. And in the 7th inning, bases loaded, nobody out, couldn't score. Bird stays alive.
Yeah, the Dodger pitching staff, starting with Kershaw, did 3 Houdini acts as far as rescuing those innings and putting up goose eggs. It was a shutout by the end of the 9 innings. Clayton did a lot of the work.
Coming off his worst start of the year, the second worst of his career. And Jin Ryu with a good seat today. Ryu pitches on Monday when the Dodgers return home, and he's going to be facing one of baseball's best in Johnny Cueto.
Cueto had a rough outing his last outing. If I remember, he gave up 6 earned runs. That was news when he had an ERA under 2 for that outing.
So 9 pitches in this at bat for Marlon Bird, who came up with the Phillies in 2002. Then it was on to Washington and Texas and the Cubs, the Red Sox, the Mets, the Pirates, and back in Philadelphia. Into center field, that's going to drop in for a base hit. Ethier over quickly, Bird on his way to second base, and he will make it. Marlon Bird, his 16th double of the year. He is now 13 for 25 with 8 extra base hits against Dan Haren.
That's what's known as a hitter owning you, and this pitch right here, outer half down, but Marlon Bird seems to see Dan Haren very well, and he barrels it up in the gap. Ethier did a nice job getting over there, making an accurate throw, but hit deep enough to be a double.
Last night the Phillies had 3 hits, 2 singles and a double. Here in the first inning, 3 hits, all for extra bases. And a call strike, 0-1 to Dominic Brown. Brown, of whom much was expected as he was making his way through the Philly organization, just hasn't panned out to be the star they thought he'd be. Hitting .210 this year, 3 home runs, 22 runs batted in, and he takes a strike on the fist, and it's 0-2. Carlos Ruiz on deck. For the Phillies with an early 2-0 lead, and they have lost 6 of their last 8 here at Citizens Bank Park, where they're just 8 and 13. Brown stays alive. So this is a Dodger team that went into Arizona. Didn't do particularly well there. 4-3 on a road trip where they're visiting teams all with home losing records.
The bar is very high for the Dodgers with the roster and the salary level and the backs of the baseball cards, and Don Mattingly trying to find the pieces to the jigsaw puzzle to get on a long hot streak.
Brown fouls it back.
Sure, this is one of those days with the wind blowing the way it is and right field, really the ball is going to carry a lot. But this Dodger team is going to have to score some runs, I think. It's going to be a day where Dan Herron's going to have to get his flak jacket on, and he might give up runs, but he can't give up. It's going to be a battle. This ball travels very well in the daytime here, and especially today.
Herron is already up to 28 pitches here in the first inning. And again, one can only wonder what if Chase Utley's foul ball had been caught by A.J. Ellis. Next pitch, he'd hit a 2-run home run, and Herron has really been taken to task. Doesn't appear to be fooling anybody either.
The cut fastball into the lefties is not really getting all the way in. They're getting their barrel on it. They're pulling foul. And that's fine when you're trying to build a count and get to 2 strikes. But you're right, Charlie. He's looking for that put-away pitch now to have it hit weakly or to get him to swing and miss.
The 30th pitch of the first inning. They're teeing off on Herron. Carlos Ruiz on deck. Revere began the inning with a ground ball that just bounced over first base into the corner for a double. Rollins, attempting to bunt, would pop out after Utley appeared to foul out to the catcher. Ticked off the glove of A.J. Ellis, and on the very next pitch, Utley would hit a 2-run home run. Ryan Howard would strike out for the 56th time this season. Bird would double to left center, and Dominic Brown is just wearing out Dan Herron. Two and two.
Looks like this just misses. You don't get it when you have to reach back to get the plate. And boy, it catches the strike zone. But because of the abrupt glove movement by A.J. Ellis and missing the target, they were trying to go so far low and away, had to reach back.
Short left, Crawford in and over, and he's got it, and that'll end the inning. But it was a tough one for Herron. 2 runs, 3 hits, 1 error. We'll go to the second. Phillies lead 2-0. Fourth home run of the year. A 2-run shot gives the Phillies the early lead. At attention time, Warner Cable customers. Sportsnet LA is moving to a permanent home on Channel 319. Don't miss a minute of the action as we bring you all things Dodgers. For new TWC channel listings and more information, visit twc.com/mychannels. Adrian Gonzalez leads off for the Dodgers in the second. Gonzalez 0 for his last 8 at-bats. 12 home runs and 34 runs batted in, and takes inside and low, 1 ball and no strikes. Gonzalez a long night last night. Struck out, bounced into a double play, and applied to left, center, and right. 1-1. Crawford on deck, and Andre Ethier to follow.
One thing you don't worry about with Adrian Gonzalez is his mental makeup when he comes to the ballpark after a statistically tough night.
Utley from short right field. And that'll bring up Carl Crawford. Buchanan, first 4 batters he's faced as a major leaguer. He has retired them all on ground balls. Crawford saying today before the game, as hot as he's been, I said, when was the last time you have physically felt this good? He said at the end of the 2010 season in Tampa. He, of course, would sign that big contract with the Red Sox. He'd get hurt immediately. He'd have leg issues, had the elbow surgery. But now he's about as healthy as he's been in about 5 years. As a result, he's at 276. He bottomed out early May at 185. And so since the 3rd of May, he's hitting 415. Right at Dominic Brown, 2 out. Brings up Andre Ethier. Ethier making his 16th start in center field, and for the 2nd consecutive game, Matt Kemp is watching. A.J. Ellis on deck. Ethier last night, single, a double, hit by a pitch and grounded out. 1 ball and no strikes. In his last 19 games, Andre Ethier is hitting .345 and has been on base 41% of the time.
Definitely a jigsaw puzzle piece that Don Mattingly can slip in almost anywhere. Plays all 3 outfield positions, and the bat is hot right now. Don Mattingly says that now the situation in center field is an open discussion, where maybe 2-3 weeks ago we were reading that Matt Kemp was secure out there and had earned the spot with Yasiel Puig in right.
And Ethier continues his hot hitting. First hit of the game for the Dodgers. A 2-out single to center for Andre Ethier.
You have 5 pieces for 3 spots in the outfield, and Puig, who's having an MVP type season so far for the Dodgers. All of a sudden, it's on production on who gets in the lineup. Matchups, production, keeping people sharp. But right now, Andre Ethier is showing that he is the guy that the Dodgers should want in center field.
The Dodger outfield quintet is collectively hitting .294. It's the 2nd highest batting average for outfielders collectively in the major leagues. And Ethier more than chipping in lately. A.J. Ellis has been quiet at the plate. Of course, he was on the disabled list, having had the left knee arthroscopically repaired, hitting a .178, 8 hits and 10 walks. 1 ball and 1 strike. A 2-run home run for Chase Utley in the bottom half of the 1st inning. As the Phillies up, David Buchanan, we're up in Atlanta with his major league debut. To right field, headed toward the corner, and Bird makes the catch in foul territory, and that will end the inning. No runs. The Ethier hit. We go to the bottom of the second. Phillies up by 2. Outfielders in Major League Baseball are A, not over the age of 23, and B, both reside in Southern California. Alana?
Question about it. Naturally, we're talking about our own Yasiel Puig in right field, and of course just down the way in Anaheim you're talking about Mike Trout. Two very young, wonderful outfielders, 5-tool players, especially when you're talking about Yasiel Puig. So I thought it would be interesting to compare the two as far as the first 147 games in their career. Now Puig has the better average than Trout. 1 fewer home run, 10 fewer RBIs. 3/3 of the stolen bases that Trout had so far in 147 games. Now Trout making his debut back in July of 2011, but two rising stars, you guys. We have the opportunity to see Yasiel Puig day in and day out. The question is, how good do you think this guy can become?
You know, I was spending a little time with Flash Gordon, Dee's father, last night after the game. And there's Puig, and curious about what he thought of Puig. This is Ruiz, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. And he said, just in terms of talent, Tom Flash Gordon pitched near 20 years in the major leagues. High and inside 2-1. He said his impression, and he played alongside Bo Jackson among others, best talent he's seen.
I think he's right up there. It'd be very hard. I think he actually is more talented than Bo Jackson. I think he has a little bit more dynamic and athletic abilities as far as being a baseball player. I think Bo was an athlete playing baseball. I think Yasiel Puig is an athlete that is a baseball player.
So Herron, who had difficulty in the first inning, walks Ruiz to begin the second. The last 2 batters in the bottom of the first, Marlon Byrd and Dominic Brown. Byrd saw 9 pitches before a double. Dominic Brown saw 11 before flying to left. So not a good beginning for Dan Herron as Cesar Hernandez steps in. Hernandez is 4 for 22, switch hitter. 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts and a walk last night. Phillies up early. Did not go around, according to third base umpire Manny Gonzalez.
It's a big out for Dan Herron right here with the pitcher on deck. You don't want to give up a base hit here and have first and second, now allow the pitcher to have a sacrifice situation. It could turn into an easy inning. You get this guy out and you get the pitcher out.
Which is why, of course, Hernandez is swinging away, not thinking about a sacrifice. 1-2. There's Buchanan, who has given up no runs and a hit in his first 2 major league innings. Meanwhile, Herron's 42nd pitch. 2-2.
I wonder how many times there's been a 10-inning string of innings where the shortstop on the Dodgers hasn't received a baseball. And we have a guy making his major league debut at shortstop, and we're 10 innings into it, and he hasn't seen an attempt.
And last night he was 0 for 3 and fouled one pitch off. He didn't make contact with his bat or his glove.
Yeah, I think some of that is attributed to the scouting report, which is the bat is a work in progress. And I think some of that also is attributed to the fact that it was his first big league game and there was some nerves involved.
And didn't know he was going to start up until maybe an hour ago. And Ramirez left calf is giving an issue. So he was a last minute scratch. And Arozarena is out at short. Meanwhile, Hernandez is working the count and making Herron pitch more than he'd like. Herron has already thrown 11 pitches here in the second. He's up to 44 and hasn't retired anybody yet. So you'd be thinking that the Dodger bullpen, which has already worked more innings than any other team in the major leagues, will be working a lot again today, unless Herron can shut her down in a hurry. Instead, it's 3-2 to the 8th hitter.
I don't think they'll be running right here for a strike him out, throw him out, but up 2-0, you do have a chance to be aggressive. Doesn't look like with that lead we're going anywhere. They are.
There he goes. It's ball 4.
Well, they had him struck him out, throw him out with a strike.
Instead, back-to-back walks, and Herron's struggles continue. So he begins the bottom of the second by walking the 7th hitter and the 8th hitter.
You can go with a very aggressive defense right here in the infield. A rookie pitcher in his major league outing, they're not going to cut him loose swinging. He's definitely going to be bunting. Adrian Gonzalez and Justin Turner will probably come right down his throat. Adrian is way in right now. Take a look at where Adrian is. He's almost to the 45-foot line. Now making half a step back, but definitely putting on some mental pressure.
Buchanan 6'3" and 200 pounds. Throw down to second base. Very close play. Out at second base. Carlos Ruiz caught napping. And one of the things you might have noticed on the play, the quick hands of Arozarena.
Outstanding play right here. When you get the bunt through, great play by A.J. Ellis to come up throwing because the runner is getting a good secondary lead, leaning towards third because of the bunt attempt, and an outstanding tag, as you mentioned, Charlie, by Arozarena. Oh my gosh, a one-hopper that he continues the momentum, not of the glove going up on the hop, but down.
Turner will throw to first base. Hernandez will go to second. The sacrifice, 2 out.
Exceptional tag there at second base on the pickoff. Now the sacrifice and a chance for Herron and the Dodgers to get out of the inning.
On Arazorena's first day with the Dodgers in Glendale, I was taken out to the backfield by Pat Corrales, Gazzo, and Vance Lovelace, the 2 assistant GMs, just to watch Arozarena make ground balls and short hops. And Corrales sitting next to me and was elbowing me each time Arozarena is making these one spectacular play after another with the glove. He was already, we were told, major league ready defensively on that day. Hitting continues to be a work in progress, but he can catch it.
Well, you think about defense right there. Let's say that ball deflects off his glove and goes into center field, and now it's second and third, no out. It's a little different inning than having a man on first, 1 out, and then the pitcher has to sacrifice. Now we have 2 out and a man on second.
And Revere with a base hit into center field, rounding third. And on his way home is Hernandez. Throw to the plate, not in time. And on the throw, Revere goes to second. And the Phillies take a 3-0 lead.
Base hit by Revere. That's his second. A double now and then a single. Well, we're trying to go low and away with a little backdoor slider. Leave it up. Revere, a good piece of hitting. Andre Ethier with Hernandez running. Might want to think a little late as far as the cutoff man. Adrian Gonzalez getting to the center of the field. No one there to cut it off. The throw was probably low enough, but put another man in scoring position with that throw going all the way to home plate.
Jimmy Rollins takes a strike. So the Dodgers in a hole early, 3-0. And Herron is now 4 starts in a row where he has struggled. His 53rd pitch with 2 out in the second.
He went 110 pitches in his last outing. And it wasn't a very particular pretty one with the 6 innings, 10 hits, 5 runs, 4 earned. He didn't walk a batter, only struck out 3.
Three runs and 4 hits surrendered by Herron in an inning and 2/3. 2 doubles, a home run, and an RBI single.
It's where you just need to suck it up and you need to eat some innings for the bullpen. Give your team a chance to climb back in the game. Only down 3-0 and a long way to go. 21 outs left on offense.
Revere has great speed at second base. And Ellis prevents further damage. Twins and Giants later in San Francisco. Vogelsong going for San Francisco. Colorado at Atlanta. Down the right field line and foul.
When so many left-handed hitters are barreling up the pitches that are on the inside corner or even extremely inside on them, the outside corner and outside and down, especially soft, is got to be open because they can't get the barrel in 2 places at once.
On 2-2. Base hit into right field. It's 4-0 Philadelphia. Rollins knocking in Revere. 2 for the Phillies in the first, 2 more here in the second. For Rollins, his 21st RBI of the year.
A.J. Ellis and Dan Herron have the idea. They're going away, but look how that ball comes back. A.J. has to reach for it, so they were going low and away. But Dan just missed his spot, and that cost him this 4th run.
And Ethier and the inability to hit the cutoff man costs a run. Phillies 3 for 5 with runners in scoring position this afternoon. They were 0 for 9 in similar circumstances last night. Now Utley into short right field. Out goes Gordon. And that ends the inning. But walks to the 7th and 8th hitters, a sacrifice, and a couple of hits. Phillies 4-0 as we go to the 3rd. Dan Gordon to bat for the Dodgers in the third. Dodger and Hello Kitty fans, don't miss Hello Kitty bobblehead night Tuesday, June 3rd, when the Dodgers host the Chicago White Sox at 7:10. And the first 50,000 fans in attendance take home a mini Hello Kitty bobblehead for their collection. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. Here's Arena, who rolls it slowly up the third base line. And a throw to first. One pitch, one out in the third. Cesar Hernandez showing a good arm. Now Dan Herron out of Pepperdine. Born in Monterey Park. Lives down in Orange County these days. Has 3 hits this year. He's a very good hitter in college. Well, then most guys who make it to the major leagues were.
Well, among pitchers with at least 300 plate appearances since 2000, our notes with the Dodgers say he ranks 6th with a .212 batting average.
Through the middle and behind second base. Rollins throws at Herron, 2 out. As D. Gordon comes to the plate, it's time for the Coors Light Cold Hard Facts. D. Gordon has 10 more stolen bases than Billy Hamilton. Jose Altuve, the best 5'5" player on the planet, is 3rd in stolen bases. You talk about Billy Hamilton. Difference between he and Gordon. Gordon's hitting .295. Hamilton .252. Gordon has a .340 on base percentage, and Hamilton has a .292 on base percentage. Just a few reasons why he's got 28 stolen bases and is way ahead of Billy Hamilton. Gordon bounced to short in his first at bat. Justin Turner on deck. Dodgers down 4 in the third. One ball and one strike. Gordon freely speaks now about his transition from shortstop to second base and how it's changed his game and his career. Things have slowed down for him. He has found a home at second base, and he says, look, already within a year or so of playing second base on an everyday basis, he's more comfortable than he ever was at shortstop.
Changing positions is a lot different than coming to the big leagues because he's already had big league reps. There's so much of the big league culture and the learning curve that he had under his belt as a foundation. Just wasn't finding any results at shortstop. Now that he's comfortable with that foundation.
And he takes a call, 3rd strike, and David Buchanan, quite a debut. Another 8-pitch inning. 29 through 3. And the Phillies lead by 4. third. Howard, Bird, and Brown to bat, and join us for the next episode of Connected With as we sit down with Dusty Baker. Talk about winning the 1981 World Series against the Yankees. Don't miss Connected With Dusty Baker tomorrow at 3 o'clock on Sportsnet LA. Cloudy skies, a 1 in 3 chance of rain on this Saturday afternoon of Memorial Day in Philadelphia. Of course, we had a 1 in 3 chance of rain last night, and we had a delay of about 3/4 of an hour. So far, so good. Howard struck out swinging in his first at bat. Ryan Howard always among the league leaders in having been struck out. Dodgers have the big shift on. So Arborena's is the only infielder on the left side. And there's D. Gordon in short right. Howard 7 home runs and 25 runs batted in. Ryan is third in the league in having been struck out. Left side and out of play. The Upton brothers, Justin and BJ, in a pitched battle for first place in the strikeout race. Each have 57. Starlin Marte and Ryan Howard have 55. Marlon Byrd, who is on deck, has been struck out 52 times. Two balls and 2 strikes to Ryan Howard.
The Upton brothers would rather be competing for a home run race than a strikeout race.
Well, Howard goes down again on strikes. Well, congratulations to Ryan Howard. He has just tied Justin Upton and BJ Upton for the strikeout lead.
Has a lot of pop and takes big swings, and there is not much of a 2-strike approach with Ryan Howard. An all or nothing approach right now.
And lately it's been mostly nothing. And now here's Marlon Byrd, who doubled to win a 9-pitch at bat from Herron in the first inning. Marlon Byrd is now 13 for 25 with 8 extra base hits in his career against Dan Herron.
A lot of respect right there, starting him off with a split finger down in the dirt. Byrd is so confident in seeing the ball so well, he'd let it go.
Oh, and 2 to Byrd with 1 out in the bottom of the third.
It's one theory to go against guys that really own you, hitters against pitchers. The pitcher can start saying, you know what? He wants to swing the bat. He knows he's hot off of me, so I'm going to start throwing in balls and see if he'll get himself out.
Well, Aaron strikes out Byrd, 2 out, and nobody out.
The count would be 3-0 if Marlon Byrd would have just went up there with the bat on his shoulders, but Dan Herron and A.J. Ellis, knowing that he wants to swing, threw him 3 balls, and he swung at all of them.
A lot of teams have their mascots. Is there a better one than this guy?
No, none compared to the Philly Fanatic.
Dominic Brown had an 11-pitch at bat in the first inning and ultimately would fly to left. A fast starter in his last couple of years, but fast fades down the stretch for Brown.
He's always been a streaky hitter, you know, a month here, a month there.
So Herron strikes out the side after 2 shaky innings. Terrific in the third. We go to the fourth. 4-0 Philly with Turner, Puig, and Gonzalez coming up. by Honda. Start something special with a great deal on a Honda. Now at your Honda dealer. On this Memorial Day weekend, welcome back to Philadelphia. Justin Turner, Yasiel Puig, and Adrian Gonzalez will bat here in the 4th inning. Dodgers have had a grand total of 1 base runner, 1 hit, 2 outfield flies, and the rest ground outs and 1 strikeout. Turner bounced to 3rd in his first at bat, batting 2nd today, and that was only a last-minute deal when Hanley Ramirez could not go to the post. His calf muscle was bothering him. How long it's been bothering him, how serious it is, we don't know. So he was a last-minute scratch. Arena making his 2nd start at short. And Turner was initially going to bat 7th, and here he is in the 2 spot, and a fly ball to center field. Revere heading back, and it's over his head. Turner is on his way to second base with a leadoff double. Ben Revere, one of the more agile defensive center fielders in the game, and that one just was clear over his head.
Justin Turner hit this ball very, very well. The wind has kind of died down, so the ball did not get knocked down as much. The wind actually has been helping the ball to right field, but would be knocking the balls down to center. Turner gets the benefit of that, but really provided most of the power himself.
Now here's Puig. Bounced to short in his first at bat and got on base all 5 times last night. 3 hits and 2 walks. Puig has a hit in 20 of his last 21 games, over which time he's hit .422. 8 for his last 15. Takes outside and low, 1 ball and no strikes.
Situation where you're down by 4 with Yasiel Puig swinging a very hot bat. You just don't want him to give himself up. You want him to hit for himself here. It would be nice if he gets Turner to third and it's an out, but you don't want him just to give in and hit a ground ball to the right side like this is the 9th inning in a 1-run game.
Up the middle. Rollins spins, throws, not in time. Puig simply too fast. Jimmy Rollins makes a great play, and Puig is aboard again with an infield hit.
So many dimensions to his game. Usually people that win batting titles hit from the left side. Yasiel Puig, with his ability to hit for average, for power, and then to get hits like this, put him in a position that someday you might think of him as a batting champion because of that type of infield hit.
3 hits last night and 2 of the infield variety. So the Dodgers have a rally going here in the 4th. They trail 4-0. Runners at the corners, nobody out, and Adrian Gonzalez. 1 ball and no strikes.
The Dodgers facing a AAA call-up, making his Major League debut. He was 5-1 with a 3.98 ERA in Las Vegas. That's pretty good for that league. When you're making your debut and you got him in his first jam ever in the big leagues, you need to capitalize.
And the hitter's now getting a second look at him. We were talking about it the other day. The great pitchers, you say you want to get to them early because then they get locked in and then they take over. The young guys, it's the second go round and the third go round where they become more vulnerable.
As they are learning and developing as young pitchers, if they don't come to the big leagues with a full arsenal of pitches they're confident to throw, you start to back them into corners, where you start to understand what their out pitch is and that's the only thing they do. You start to eliminate pitches that they really say they have or have shown, but that's all they've done is have and shown them. They really can't execute them. So they back you into a corner where hitters eliminate sides of the plate or eliminate pitches, and then they almost know what's coming.
Gonzalez bounced to second in his first at bat. 2-2.
He's attempted to go inside there the last 3 pitches to Adrian Gonzalez. That's the first time that he's absolutely got it in there. But Adrian with a very good take.
Turner at third and Puig is at first. Gonzalez hitless in his last 9 at-bats at .272. 12 home runs, 34 runs batted in, but with runners in scoring position, hitting .300. Buchanan retired the Dodgers in the first 3 innings, throwing a total of 29 pitches. Little nubber, which turns out to be a de facto sacrifice. Puig goes to second. For a moment, Buchanan was trying to figure out where Justin Turner was. As Buchanan was picking up the ball, Turner was retreating to third. Second and third, and Carl Crawford coming up. Crawford .276 with runners in scoring position. .274 all the time. But .276, quite remarkable when you consider at the beginning of the month he was hitting .185. Since May 3rd, Crawford is at .415. 4 homers, 9 RBIs.
The right guy in the right place as far as the Los Angeles Dodgers are concerned right here. These types of innings, 3 of them last night for the Phillies, where they failed to capitalize. The Dodgers looking to climb back into this one, have a hot hitter at the plate.
First time all year Carl Crawford is batting in the 5th spot. Also an acknowledgement as to how hot he's been of late. 1-1. So Crawford, for the first time in almost 5 years, is completely healthy. And he's playing like it. Has 15 runs batted in on the season. And takes inside. Last night, Carl Crawford, leadoff home run in the 2nd.
Philly.
It was his 4th of the year.
Phillies are remembering that home run because that was out over the plate, and they've been trying to jam him the last few pitches here.
To the right side. Howard's going to have to take it himself. In to score is Turner. Puig goes to third. The Dodgers are on the board. Philadelphia 4-1.
Nice realization by Ryan Howard to see what was going on. David Buchanan late breaking over to cover first, became a spectator on the mound for a little while. Dodgers get a run, but Buchanan sees the ball hit over there and he does not break. Ryan Howard, expecting to have his pitcher there in time, realizes it and dives in and gets the out.
Now Ethier with 2 out. Andre Siegel to center in his first at bat. Starting in center field again this afternoon. Into short left. And an easy play for Dominic Brown, and that's that. Dodgers come up with a run and 2 hits and leave 1 after 3.5. Philadelphia 4-1. Ramirez and the Dodgers open the series with Andrew McCutchen and the Pirates at 7:10. And the first 40,000 fans in attendance will get a chance to take home a Dodger-themed T-shirt. Dodger team-themed T-shirt presented by Security Benefit. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. The bottom third of the Philadelphia lineup coming up to bat here in the bottom of the fourth, beginning with Carlos Ruiz. Walked in his first at bat. Ruiz at .262 with 1 home run and 10 runs batted in. Dodgers and Phillies will wrap it up tomorrow. First pitch West Coast time at about 10:35 tomorrow morning. Josh Beckett and A.J. Burnett. There's a strike.
And Herron's got to keep fighting. This game is not going according to plan for sure for him, but a certain percentage of them do turn around.
There's a strike.
Your offense can wake up. Your abilities on the mound can start to get refined, and you start to find it. There's still time.
So tomorrow's pitching matchup, Burnett and Beckett, they came up together with those great young Marlins teams in the early 2000s. Ethier has plenty of room.
And both of those pitchers tomorrow, their arms are a little less electric, but they have both gone through the transition of becoming more pitchers than throwers. And A.J. Burnett on the Philadelphia side is actually pitching with a herniated disc, where he is really a lot calmer on the mound right now, using his breaking ball and his two-seamer an awful lot.
Beckett will be making his 9th start with an ERA of under 3. And opposing hitters hitting just .219 against him. What a pleasant surprise Josh Beckett has been. 0-2 to Cesar Hernandez, who walked and scored a run in his first at bat. David Buchanan is on deck. And after the game tomorrow, the Dodgers will be flying home. It's Josh. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And beginning a homestand. 3 with the Reds, 4 with the Pirates, and 3 with the White Sox. Into left center field. Ethier's got a long way to go, and so does Crawford. It is Crawford who tracks it down. And Carl Crawford, among other attributes this season, he's fielding his position much better. Made 2 terrific catches last night. His throwing arm, finally a couple of years removed from the elbow surgery, is improved and certainly hitting much better.
He tracks this one well. A left-handed hitter. The ball will start slicing back towards the left fielder here as it loses velocity, and that ball ends up being Carl's, but great range by both the left fielder and the center fielder.
Buchanan swings and misses, 0-1. Buchanan a sacrifice in his first major league plate appearance. No balls and 2 strikes. So Herron, after the shaky start, has retired 6 Phillies in a row. And to short right field, Gordon makes the play. 7 straight retired by Dan Herron. Ellis, Arboreto, and Herron coming up as we head to the 5th. before the first pitch thrown today. Hanley Ramirez. Alana Rizzo, what's the story?
Well, I talked to the director of medical services, Stan Conte. He said it's really nothing to be concerned about, just a precautionary thing. Hanley Ramirez has a mild calf strain. He felt it yesterday a little bit in terms of some soreness and some more in BB today. Obviously, he did not get the start yesterday. Just a routine day off for Hanley Ramirez. Arruabarrena getting the start yesterday, but he continued with the soreness a little bit today, so they wanted to be cautious with him and take him out. Stan Conte saying it's probably only a day or so, if even that, guys.
All righty. A.J. Ellis leading it off in the fifth. 4 runs and 5 hits for Philadelphia. A run, 3 hits, and an error for the Dodgers. It was the error by Ellis that prolonged the at-bat of Chase Utley in the first. Pop up behind the plate. The wind was blowing in. It tipped off the glove of Ellis. And on the very next pitch, Chase Utley, given that extra opportunity, hit a 2-run home run. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Ellis. He fly to deep right field in foul territory. Marlon Byrd making a nice play against the sidewall, and that was back in the second inning. So the rookie David Buchanan, so far so good for the right-hander. A pop up to the right side. 1 out. Buchanan was a non-roster invitee to the Phillies spring training camp. Opened a lot of eyes. Ryan Sandberg liked him in particular. Again, he's not one of these guys who's got any one overpowering pitch. He's got 3-4 pitches that he can go to with a fair degree of confidence. And at AAA this year, pitching for the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. Something like that. 5-1, a 3.98 ERA. Arruabarrena fouls it off to the left, and it's quickly 0-2.
Sometimes pitchers like this, they take a little bit longer for somebody to recognize it's about consistency, not that electric stuff that lights up radar guns, but he has a lot of pitch ability.
1-2.
It's the second time I've seen Arruabarrena take a pitch by kind of jumping up and down and bending his knees. It's a little odd movement to see a hitter do that.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Arruabarrena last night in his major league debut struck out 3 times, walked once, and made contact once and fouled it off. Well, now he has worked the count full to 3-2. When he bounced to third in his first at-bat, we got a chance to see that he runs pretty well. So we're all learning about Arruabarrena together. Well, it looks like he's got his first major league hit. Arizbel Arruabarrena. He'll toss that ball into the Dodger dugout, and he will take home a souvenir he will never forget. What's the first ball you collected?
Oh boy.
First start, first something? Or were you not one of those who kept
No, I kept them, but I'm trying to think out which one was the first one.
Little comebacker slowly hit, and because Arruabarrena was halfway to second base, Rollins had only 1 play. Aaron bounces out, 2 gone.
I know I have first save, first win, first hit. I think those are only the first I've had.
Okay.
And then the first win coming back from the surgery when they reconstructed my shoulder. God rest his soul, Dr. Frank Jobe put me back together.
And so now with 2 out, Arruabarrena's at second base, and D. Gordon is coming up.
You know what I said, though, the most fun is your first baseball card. That's the fun one to see. When that printing comes out and you make the set.
D. Gordon fouls it off. Well, Buchanan has been getting a lot of ground ball outs tonight, or this afternoon, 9 of them. 3 outfield flies and a strikeout. So Buchanan's keeping the ball on the ground. Gordon is 0 for 2. Arborena leads from second. And it's 0-2 to D. Gordon. Gordon has bounced out and has been struck out. No balls, 2 strikes, and 2 out. Up the first base line, foul. Gordon at the moment is at .292. 1 home run, 12 runs batted in. That is hitting better than .300 with runners in scoring position.
A base hit right here. 0-2, 2 out. Phillies trying to get in the dugout, only be up by 3. Change the psychological makeup of this game. 3-run lead compared to a 2-run lead. Now anybody ever gets on, you've got the tying run come to the plate. But a guy making his debut on the mound, all of a sudden now he's not bulletproof.
And against the Philly team that's lost 3 in a row, 7 of 10, and 13 of 21 at home. So that could put them back on their heels a bit. A base hit by Gordon. Turner on deck and Puig to follow. 4 runs and 5 hits. Philadelphia, a run and 4 hits for the Dodgers.
Follow that thought one more time. It's D. Gordon's the one getting a hit, and then he probably ends up in scoring position in this inning. So a lot can still happen.
Into left field, and that's going to be a base hit. Arborena's on his way home. Here's a throw to the plate, and he's safe. And going to second base is Gordon. The Dodgers are back in the game now. Philadelphia 4 and the Dodgers 2. Gordon with his 13th run batted into the season.
Thanks to the growth and abilities of D. Gordon, a 2-strike, 2-out hit right here, and he is going to second no matter what. The ball goes home. I'm not so sure that's the right place with a spinning guy with 2 outs and 2 strikes. The man on second, I don't care how he can run, is going on contact. You're not going to throw anybody out, and then you let Gordon end up there at second.
It goes as a single. Gordon going to second on the throw. But you know the way D. Gordon runs, that could easily have been a double. Either way, he'll take the run, and so will the Dodgers. And Arboreena scores his first big league run. Turner now suddenly the tying run at the plate. Takes a strike, 0-1. Gordon last night stole 3 bases, has 28 on the year. More than 8 teams in the National League, 5 in the American League. And as many as the Phillies have into center field, and there goes Gordon to third. Speed kills, or it really annoys you a lot.
D. Gordon does a very subtle thing right here as he leverages his body against Jimmy Rollins and prevents Jimmy Rollins from reaching that ball. Kind of hip checks him to the chest. Once you know you're back to second base at time, no need to slide. Get in the way and get your body in the way, and he does a great job right there of preventing that throw from being caught.
No balls and a strike to Turner. Gordon dancing off third. And Turner takes a strike. It's 0-2. Now remember, D. Gordon, he can take a lead as far away as the third baseman Hernandez is from third base. That's how far Gordon could take a lead with impunity. Oh and 2. 1 and 2. If Gordon has stolen home, I don't recall it. Certainly not on a pure steal of home plate. Into right field, slicing foul.
He reached on a fielder's choice in a game last year and stole second, third, and home, but you're right, it wasn't on a straight steal. It was on a first and third where the runner on first broke, and he stole third as they were making the play on the runner at second.
So he gets credit for stealing home, but not in a pure sense, say Jackie Robinson sliding into Yogi. Gordon leads off third, 1 ball and 2 strikes. That ends the inning. Second strikeout of the game for Buchanan, but the Dodgers get back in it with Aragoyena's first big league base hit, and Gordon driving him home. It's 4-2 after 4.5 from Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia. Go to the bottom half of the 5th. Spend Memorial Day with us at Dodger Stadium, and the Dodgers battle the Cincinnati Reds at 5:10. Be one of the first 40,000 fans on Monday in attendance. You'll take home an Andre Ethier themed barbecue apron presented by Farmer John. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. So the Dodgers still very much in this game, especially when you consider that Dan Herron, who struggled so mightily in the first 2 innings, has now retired his last 7 batters. Top of the order for the Phillies here in the 5th. Revere's 2 for 2 and has scored 2, and it's no balls and a strike. The Phillies took 3 of 4 from the Dodgers last month at Dodger Stadium. But the Dodgers are 7-1 here at Citizens Bank Park since 2012. Revere squares, 1-1. And the Phillies struggling at home this year, 8-13. Have lost 6 of their last 8 here. And this used to be a miserable place for visiting teams to come. They sold out about 3-4 years in a row, every single game. Not so this year. Last night we were marking 27,000. It was rainy and miserable. We'll give you all that. But it was quiet. This is going to be a tough play for Herron. And Revere's going to go to second, and he might go to third. Now the Dodgers want to know whether or not Ben Revere was inside that running lane, or was he on the infield grass, making it impossible for Ellis to make the throw. And if that's the case, Revere is out.
It looked like to me that he was inside it. And Don Mattingly, I think, has a solid beef. Let's take a look right here. He is way inside it. Way inside it. Normally they will let you get away with it if you're the runner and you have your foot on the line, because that's considered being in the box. Both of his feet are left and inside fair territory.
Never once was he inside that runner's box.
No, he is extremely inside, and there is no place for Dan Herron to throw the ball cleanly to Adrian Gonzalez.
Don Mattingly got off his haunches and argued, but with not a lot of success with Seth Buckminster. Goes as a single and an error, and Alana Rizzo was watching all that from the dugout.
Well, you can see as far as his reaction is concerned, guys, he never gets too high and too low, and you hear that all the time as far as sports cliches are concerned, but I've never heard this man raise his voice. What he does behind closed doors may be a different story. The reason I'm bringing it up is Preston Mattingly is here on this trip, of course, the middle of Don's 3 sons. I was talking to him about his dad yesterday as far as his demeanor is concerned. He said when we were kids, he never got upset with us, always kind of calm, cool, and collected. And Preston continued on and said, you know, last year when before they extended Don Mattingly as far as the Dodgers are concerned with his contract, he said, you know what, I would be in situations where I would get so upset about it. He said, I didn't know. I thought my father was going to get fired. But he said his dad has always been such a positive person, and he never lets anybody see him sweat, guys. Much like Tommy Lasorda, right, Oral?
Behind second base, Arabuena throws out Rollins. Revere comes in to score, and that's the 5th run of the game. The Phillies take a 5-2 lead.
Alana was setting me up on my old skipper right there. Tommy, he wore his emotions on his sleeve, and he always left his sleeves down. He didn't roll them up much.
I first met Mattingly in '83 when he was a rookie coming up with the Yankees. And again, much as he is now, as he was then, rarely did he get upset. There was one time, however, and this was in the early '90s, toward the tail end of his career, when he walked in. Again, this is the craziness of the Yankees and the Bronx, and I think Stump Merrill may have been the manager then. And just before the game, Merrill says to Mattingly, again, it's the early '90s, you need to get a haircut and shave your mustache. What? Well, that was the only time that I can remember where Donnie really went off, and he made his beef known publicly in the newspaper, and when that happens in New York, that's a big deal. But it was the only time in the 30-something years I've known the guy where he was really verklempt. It's an old baseball term. 1-2 to Utley, who has a 2-run home run, and he's popped to second today. There's a call, 3rd strike. 5th strikeout for Herron, 2 out. Meanwhile, after 2 really shaky innings, first 2 innings, Herron, 58 pitches, has settled down, and he gets the call, 3rd strike.
He's a pop-up dropped, then a home run, and a base runner running inside the first baseline, away from really being in a 2-2 tie. That's how thin an edge. This looks like a terrible outing, but could have been different.
Howard takes a ball. Howard 0 for 2's been struck out twice. So 5 strikeouts for Herron and 2 walks. In short right field, Gordon throws out Howard, and that ends the inning. 1 run, 1 hit, 1 error, and nobody left through 5. 5-2 Phillies. And David Buchanan, his major league debut, went 5 innings, 2 runs, and 5 hits. This is the 4th time this season the Dodgers have faced a pitcher making his major league debut. Lost to Bolsinger and Trinan in Washington, and Esclafani in Miami. Pitched well. The Dodgers would win that game. Now, whether or not they're able to come from behind in this one, we've got the next 4 innings to figure that out. David Buchanan, 66 pitches, 44 of them for strikes. Getting congratulations from backup catcher Will Nieves. This is Jake Diekman making his 23rd appearance. Opposing hitters just hitting .218 against him. He'll be facing Puig, Gonzalez, and Crawford. Puig this afternoon has a base hit in 2 at-bats and brings a .345 average into the box of it. Again, the many skills of Yasiel Puig. Of his last 4 hits, 3 have been infield hits. Puig, Gonzalez, and Crawford to bat against Jake Diekman.
Some would say that Ryan Sandberg had a very quick hook with the youngster David Buchanan. I think Ryan Sandberg is looking at the fact that 2 out of the 3 next hitters are left-handers. The Dodgers have not done very well against left-handers, and that his young starter was having trouble getting through the order for a 3rd time, that the Dodger batters are starting to catch up. So rather an inning early than maybe an inning late pulling him.
2 balls and no strikes. Buchanan threw 29 pitches in the first 3 innings. And 37 in the last 2. So there were signs he was running out of gas. Puig takes all the way. 3 balls and no strikes. Gonzalez on deck, and then Crawford, and then Ethier. So you got 3 lefties in a row following Puig. Diekman standing way on the 3rd base side of the rubber. 3-1. The Philly bullpen has been a dicey issue this year. Collectively, their ERA is .476. The Dodgers figure they might be able to get to him. There's a fly ball to right field. Back at the wall is Bird, and he can't get it. It's off the wall, and now Puig is on his way to third. Well, that wasn't very pretty.
Bird misplays the ball in right. The wind has died down, and he kind of nonchalanted that one. He'd want to now have a lot more effort than he has now after the miss. The great thing is the bat flip by Yasiel was the last casual thing he did because he busted it. And to make it to third base on this play, most big leaguers, well, Bird could have jumped up on that ball, but he is flying right here the way he is running. Thought he had a home run when he realized it wasn't going to be out. Capitalized and turned into a triple.
Still awaiting the official scoring now. It's ruled an error. E9.
I have a feeling that one might get changed once they watch the replay a little closer. Looked like it didn't hit leather until after it hit the screening of the wall.
Well, whatever it is, the Dodgers now have a runner in scoring position with Gonzalez, who's 0 for 3 up. Adrian, throughout his career, has been great with runners in scoring position, but he swings and misses, and it's 0-2.
Take a look and see. Is this an error or is this a hit? Looks like a hit to me. You can't assume that he's supposed to jump.
Well, we can assume that it was a reasonably easy play. So we agree to disagree on that one.
You call it an error?
I say potato. Gonzalez is struck out.
Dykman has struck out an awful lot of batters. His strikeout to 9 innings is north of 12. His last 20 innings, recording 60 some outs, half of them have been by strikeouts. So Adrian is not a lonely victim.
Jake Diekman is out of Nebraska. His third big league season. A 30th round draft choice of the Phillies back in 2007. You can see with his motion why he makes life miserable on lefties. Lefties are hitting just 129 against him. 2 balls and no strikes to Carl Crawford. Diekman has given up just 4 hits to 31 batters and has struck out a dozen. Comebacker. 2 out. Well, one of the issues that the Dodgers have had this year, their inability to hit lefties. Collectively, the team is hitting just .217 against southpaw pitching, as opposed to .275 against righties.
All right, Sandberg looking like a genius right here. The moves he's been making in the bullpen this series. Yesterday, even though it didn't work out, he made some outstanding moves. And here, bringing in the lefty with a short pitch count from his starter to face 3 out of 4 of them.
Now Ethier. Ball gets away. Here comes Puig, and he will score. So the Dodgers move to within 2. It is 5-3.
Well, Charlie, you mentioned earlier that D. Gordon could get off third as far as the third baseman. Well, Yasiel Puig was doing the same thing with his secondary lead, and as that ball rolled away, he realized he could make it easily.
That was simply boxed by Ruiz. So the Dodgers, on a couple of defensive lapses by the Phillies, are given a run and are to within 2. Ethier 1 for 2. It is 5-3 with 2 out, and it's inside. Carlos Ruiz had his fingers down, and kicked off his glove. So the Dodgers are given a run. Back to within 2. The count is 2-1. 3-1.
Two-out hit from D. Gordon the inning before. Two-out pass ball right there, and the Dodgers are still alive.
On 3-1. Fastball for a strike at 97. And it's 3-2. So he's got that arm angle and the great velocity. And Rollins behind second. Will throw out Ethier. That will end the inning. 1 run, no hits, 1 big error. And the Dodgers have had a run in each of the last 3 innings. 5-3 as we go to the bottom of the 6th. Dodger Baseball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you by Jack in the Box. Head to Jack in the Box and try the new Jack's Blazing Chicken Sandwich. It's Jack's hottest sandwich yet. Dan Herron and the Dodgers are back to within 2 as we go to the bottom half of the 6th. And Marlon Byrd will lead it off. Byrd has doubled and has been struck out. So Herron, after the shaky first 2 innings, has given up just 2 hits since. Ball strike, 0-1 to Marlon Byrd. Byrd 1 for 2 and 13 for 26 in his career against Herron. And 8 of those 13 hits have gone for extra bases, including that double back in the first inning.
Dan Herron about to throw his 100th pitch in his last at bat against Byrd. They threw him 3 balls in the dirt, and all 3 were missed.
The 100th pitch, when you consider it was 58 pitches through 2 innings, he has really settled down since.
You're always trying to get somewhere between 13 and 15 pitches an inning would be a nice average.
For bookkeeping purposes, Puig's at bat, instead of the error to Byrd, has been in fact changed to a triple. And Byrd goes down on strikes. Dominic Brown coming up. So Puig today is 2 for 3. Brown takes a strike, and it's 0-1. Twins and Giants later in San Francisco. Vogelsong gone for the Giants. Arizona has a 2-0 lead in the second inning in New York. The D-backs and Mets were washed away last night. We got some of that rain in Philadelphia, but really at the very end of the night. And there was a 1 in 3 chance of rain here this afternoon, and we've gone along without it. Brown on strikes. 7 strikeouts now for Herron, 2 out.
The 4th, 5th, and 6th hitters of the Phillies lineup are the victims of Dan Herron mostly. 6 of the 7 strikeouts to Howard, Bird, and Brown.
And the other strikeout, Utley. So now with 2 out, Carlos Ruiz, a walk, and he flied to center. So Herron seemingly couldn't get out of his own way in the first 2 innings. Of course, undone by a misplay by A.J. Ellis on a foul ball. The wind was really blowing in at the time, tipped off his glove. Utley was allowed 1 more pitch, and bang, he hit a 2-run home run instead of fouling out on the previous play.
And boy, do they love throwing to A.J. Ellis, and they love his leadership behind the plate, pitch calling ability. And I will guarantee you in post-game interviews he will take personal responsibility for dropping that ball and say that he put the team and Dan Herron behind the 8 ball. And that's why he has so much respect in the locker room and around the league.
On 2-2 toward the left field corner, but foul. Carlos Ruiz, a walk in 2 plate appearances. Ruiz at 260. .32, 287 the crowd today.
With Puig's ball being called a triple, and even if it's not, he's reached base here in Philadelphia 7 out of 8 times coming to the plate.
Last night, 3 hits, 2 walks. This afternoon, he grounded to short, an infield hit, and the triple.
A 1-man wrecking crew.
He is just, Yasiel Puig is must-see TV.
Scores on the pass ball. The triple is because of his speed. Most guys probably a double.
In the short right, Puig is in and over, and he's got it. And another easy inning for Dan Herron, who's gaining steam as the game heads to the 7th. Dodgers are within 2. Phillies will wrap it up tomorrow as we take a look at the Dodgers calendar presented by 76. Back with you tomorrow morning at 10:30 first pitch. After the game, the Dodgers fly home and get ready for a 3-game series with the Reds. Memorial Day at 5, Tuesday and Wednesday nights at 7. Then the Pirates come in for a 4-game series, a 4 o'clock start next Saturday afternoon, and on Sunday a 5 o'clock start. So the Dodgers trailing 5-3. Tony Gwynn Jr. takes over in left field, replacing Dominic Brown. Dan Herron, first 2 innings had difficulty, but then after that settled in. Finishes up with 115 pitches, 80 of them for strikes. And Jake Diekman is beginning his 2nd inning of relief. He'll be facing Ellis, Arbarena, and a pinch hitter for Herron. Paul Maholm warming in the Dodger bullpen. Ellis 0 for 2. Takes high and away, 1 ball and no strikes. So Dan Herron's line, 6 innings, 6 hits, 5 runs, just 2 earned. And 2 balls and no strikes to Ellis. Herron walked 2, struck out 7. 115 pitches, 80 for strikes. And 1 home run given up to Chase Utley. Maholm getting warm. Ellis takes a strike, 2-1. One of the safer propositions is that A.J. Ellis will take the first pitch he sees in every at-bat. And he walks an awful lot as a result. He's walked 11 times this season and has 8 hits.
His reputation also of that great eye and taking ability gets him a lot of borderline calls, like on that last pitch that was really close to being a strike.
And a leadoff walk for Ellis here in the 7th. Mario Hollins and Mike Adams are warming up in the Philly bullpen. In his last at-bat, Ari Arbarena with his first big league hit as you take a look at our Carl's Cam replay.
A memory Arizbel will have for the rest of his life.
Well, he's got his first game last night out of the way. His first big league hit now out of the way. And he swings and misses, 0-1. Healthy rip at a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. Matt Kemp in the on-deck circle. He will pinch hit for Herron. Arbarena. A fastball in the mid-90s to a breaking ball in the lower 80s. 0-2 to Arbarena. Fouls it off to the right and out of play. Arbarena at Double-A Chattanooga was hitting only .208, but he had gotten off to just a horrible start. But left there to come here with a 6-game hitting streak and was 11 for his last 25. Stays alive and grounds it into the dirt.
You can see why the Dodgers think the bat is a work in progress. There's not an awful lot of balance right yet in his swing. Depending on the velocity of the pitch or the type of the pitch, he's making a lot of different swings. Not picking up the ball yet out of the pitcher's hands at a big league level. And he is up here and playing.
And bouncing into a 4-6-3 double play. Here in Philadelphia, this is the largest stadium he has ever played in, by a goodly sum. And he's got bigger ones to play in yet.
That is part of the game as you're a younger player that come here to America or from the minor leagues to the big leagues, that's the part that has to slow down in your mind so that you can concentrate.
Some minor league ballparks have a second deck, but none have a third or a fourth or a fifth. Dodger Stadium, of course, has the largest capacity of any ballpark in the big leagues, 55,000. Hard to believe Dodger Stadium is now the third oldest ballpark.
With Fenway Wrigley or Wrigley Fenway? Fenway, Wrigley, then Dodger Stadium.
Fenway was opened with bad karma. It was the week the Titanic went down.
Oh.
So they had nowhere to go but up. One ball, one strike to Matt Kemp. 2 out in the 7th. Phillies with 2 in the 1st and 2 in the 2nd. Have never trailed. Kemp rolls one to 3rd. Hernandez throws him out. Dodgers are retired. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left. 7th inning stretch, Memorial Day weekend, Saturday. 5-3 Phillies. Other half of the 7th inning stretch. Dan Herron's day is done. It's now Paul Maholm's turn to pitch. He is making his 22nd appearance, his 12th appearance, and his 5th out of the bullpen. He'll be facing the switch hitting Cesar Hernandez. Tony Gwynn Jr., I beg your pardon. It's going to be Darren Ruff in the on-deck circle. Hernandez has walked, flied out, and scored a run. 1 ball and 1 strike. Dodgers will have the top of the order in the 8th inning. Gordon, Turner, and Puig. And Maholm. Line drive. Perfectly timed leap by D. Gordon. 1 out.
Pretty good piece of hitting, waiting on a breaking ball, but D. Gordon times the jump perfect and gets up and elevates. Well done. Very routine for his ability.
Ruff just off the disabled list with the oblique. Started in left field last night. Grounds it foul past third base coach Pete McKinnon. Two balls and a strike. Dodgers have never led in this game, and the Phillies have lost 6 of their last 8 here at Citizens Bank Park.
Well, in some ways, the save for the Phillies will come next inning as the Dodgers start with the top of the order with D. Gordon, Justin Turner, Yasiel Puig. If they can build an inning, it possibly could be an easier inning than the 9th as far as resumes.
2 out. Ruff takes a call, third strike. Well, one thing about Mahalam is that because throughout his entire career he's been a starter, he can go more than an inning out of the pen.
For sure. His role would be very flexible down there. Somebody that if a starter goes down, he can spot start, and also then could come in early if somebody got hurt or knocked around early. Go 4 or 5 innings, give you 70, 80 pitches.
Lefty Jamie Wright.
And he'll also probably be the left-hander that they would rather start fresh in an inning than bring in the middle of an inning. J.P. Howell used yesterday with bases loaded, no out to rescue that inning, where Paul Mahalam is more of a ground ball guy, not a strikeout guy.
What a job Howell did. 7 pitches with the bases loaded and nobody out. And we got Brown, Rollins, and Ruiz. Dodgers will hang on and shut out the Phillies 2-0. Ben Revere, 2 balls and a strike. On 2-1. Right side base hit, a 2-out single for Ben Revere, who is 4 for 4 today.
Now you got to hold him to first base. A.J. Ellis throws runners out very well. Paul Mahalam will be grinding away trying to keep him close. If he does go, keep the jump to a minimum.
And Revere has 12 stolen bases in 14 tries. Ellis has thrown out 2 of 8 this year, and 44% of would-be base stealers last year. And the Phillies play with a bit of house money, a 2-run lead with 2 out. Rollins is 1 for 3. Attempting to bunt in the first inning, he popped out to Ellis. Rollins would single to right and bounce to short. Jimmy at 276. Rollins needs 15 hits to tie Mike Schmidt for most hits in Philadelphia Philly history. In his career, he's hit 281 at home. Over the course of his career, hasn't done all that much against the Dodgers. 241 in 89 games. Holland delivers a strike, and it's 1-1. Michael Jack Schmidt. 2,234 hits. For the guy who you could make a reasonable claim was the best third baseman ever to play the game. Great defender. All those home runs. All those hits. And in the Hall of Fame. To third, Turner's got it. And they'll throw across the diamond, and that'll end the inning. No runs in one hit. The Dodgers have 6 outs left to figure out a way to come up with a couple of runs or more. Gordon, Turner, and Puig will hit in the 8th. Fella before. Mike Adams spent a lot of time in San Diego and has had some health issues here in Philadelphia, making his 15th appearance of the season. ERA of 2 3/4, and opposing hitters are hitting .235 against him.
When he is right, he is very, very tough. Keeps the ball down, the ball sinks very well, and he's got a really good slider. At times has monkeyed around with his mechanics to find some health and command. And now pitching from the windup, a very abbreviated windup coming out of the pen.
Oh, and he and Luke Gregerson and Heath Bell was at his best in San Diego. That 7th, 8th, and 9th inning was pretty near automatic for Bud Black. So now the Dodgers, who have yet to win a game this year when trailing after 7. They're 0-15 trailing after 7, but they're facing a vulnerable Philly bullpen here in the 8th, and D. Gordon will lead it off. Gordon has a hit and an RBI in 3 at-bats and takes a strike, 0-1. Gordon would single home Arizbel Arabarena back in the 5th inning. His 13th run batted into the season. Takes it back in the nick of time. 1 ball, 1 strike. Up until this year, D. Gordon offensively was always worried about getting a hit a day, kind of like a fighter. This year he's had a change of approach, and a lot of it again has to do with moving from short to second. Now he wants to get on base once or twice a day, whether it's a hit or a walk or however, and then put his speed to work. 1 ball, 2 strikes, so he is less numbers preoccupied. this year than he's ever been before. It's also a product of age. He's now 26. Has been hitting the ball down on the ground more often this year than at any time in the past. Adams on 1 and 2. On the ground, but right at Utley. Let's talk about Chase Utley for a minute. He's been a model of consistency. This is the one and only team he has ever played for, and the only town he's ever played for. His name you can begin to talk about, at least on the periphery, as a potential Hall of Famer.
As he creeps closer and closer to 2,000 hits, started this year out probably somewhere around 1,400 or slightly above that. If he can stay healthy and have 2 to 3 more outstanding seasons, he's definitely going to get in the conversation. And all he has to do is look at his own skipper, Ryan Sandberg, and look at Ryan's statistics. Ryan was always in the MVP conversation, and Chase has been in the top 10 and top 5 of MVP conversations for 2 and 3 years at a time.
5-time All-Star, 4-time Silver Slugger winner.
And really was not thought of in that mindset a few years back when he was having so many games missed with leg problems. But now that he's healthy again and swinging the bat the way he is, if he can continue, he'd have a chance.
He's been to the postseason 5 years. Broke in with the Phillies in 2003 and has played through a myriad of knee injuries. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Justin Turner.
When you were talking last inning about Jimmy Rollins creeping up next to Mike Schmidt, you've got to start thinking that Jimmy's got a chance to get some Hall of Fame votes someday.
We had Trammell and Whitaker with the Tigers, Rollins and Utley with these fellas. Here's the 1-2. There's a call, strike 3. Turner's done, 2 out.
Michael Adams showing an awful lot of movement right here, freezing Justin Turner on the outside corner. That ball looks a mile away from Justin as far as wide, but the movement brought it back to the outside edge.
And now here's Yasiel Puig. 2 for 3 today. He was 3 for 3 and 2 walks last night. Up to 349. Off the end of the bat. As play began today, Troy Tulowitzki was the National League's leading hitter at 377. And Puig is now at 349. Stanton leads the National League with 14 home runs. Puig has 10. Stanton leads the league with 47 RBIs. And Puig has 38. One ball and 1 strike. Well, let's see how Puig reacts to that inside pitch.
Right now it looks like he's taking a breath, regrouping and focusing in again. This hot streak he has been on, it has been so long and with such a good approach, it just feels like he's going to be able to duplicate this for a long, long time to come.
To third, Hernandez throws him out. Adams, a 1-2-3 inning. The Dodgers go quietly in the 8th. Utley, Howard, and Bird coming up in the bottom of the 8th. 5-3 Phillies. phone or tablet. Get live look-ins, instant replay, scores, stats, audio, free MLB.tv game of the day, and more. Download on the App Store or visit Dodgers.com today. Mahalam out to pitch his second inning of relief. Gave up one hit in the seventh inning, 16 pitches. And Chase Utley, we were talking about a moment ago, will be leading off in the bottom half of the eighth inning. Utley at .335. Third leading hitter in the league, takes a strike, 0-1. Jonathan Papelbon is warming up in the Philadelphia bullpen. And the Dodgers will have Gonzalez, Crawford, and Ethier to bat in the bottom of the ninth. In the very first inning, A.J. Ellis would drop a foul ball. And on the very next pitch, Chase Utley would take advantage of that one extra pitch and give the Phillies a 2-0 lead, a lead they have maintained throughout. Ryan Howard on deck, Marlon Byrd to follow. Dodgers 7-1 at Citizens Bank Park since 2012, but they trail by 2 in the bottom of the eighth. And Utley is down on strikes. Second time Utley has been struck out.
We got a glimpse of Chris Perez in the Dodger bullpen, probably warming in case he's needed for Marlon Byrd after Ryan Howard.
Perez has really had a tough go of it the past 2-3 weeks.
And one thing you want to do to try and get somebody back on the beam is to get him up the tunnel with a positive outing, and to bring him in with 2 out, nobody on to face one right-handed hitter might be the impetus to get something going and get him back on the right track.
Ryan Howard 0 for 3, has been struck out twice. Howard last night 0 for 4, struck out 3 times. A notorious streaky hitter. When he's hot, he's hot. And when he's not, oof.
What a great ballpark for him to hit in and to stay hot longer. This thing rewards solid fly balls, and he has good opposite field power, and there's a short left field wall here that carries well, and then the wind, when it blows, it usually blows out to right, and that's where his strength is.
Easy play for Gordon, 2 out. Trying to think, outside of Philadelphia and Cincinnati, are there any easy home run hitting parks? These are probably the 2 easiest.
Yeah,
especially in the summer.
Oh, for sure. And everybody talks about the ball in Colorado, but they've made some adjustments there to calm it down.
Yeah, but Colorado to me is more of a doubles and triples park than a home run park.
Yep. Kind of the size of Citi Field, but the ball carries.
In Citi Field, the dimensions are not intimidating. The ball just doesn't travel. Sitting on the banks of Flushing Bay. Shea Stadium was never a home run hitter's park either, although those dimensions were further out. No balls, 1 strike, and 2 out. Marlon Byrd has a double and 3 at-bats today. He's been struck out twice as well. And it's 0-2. But on a hot summer's day here in Philadelphia, Cincinnati at the Great American Ballpark, home run hitters' havens. Oh, and hear that one up here. Byrd hit by a pitch. An 0-2 pitch at that.
Paul Maholm hits an awful lot of batters because he's a left-hander that needs to live on the outer half of the plate, and also a left-hander that throws a changeup out there, and so he has to establish the fact that he will come in, and sometimes hitters get comfortable or he just plugs them.
So now with 2 out, a ball.
Brian Knight, the first base umpire, said it wasn't the angle of the foot for Paul Maholm as he stepped to first base. It was the fact that his foot crossed the rubber and he broke the plane. That's what Brian Knight said. You're not allowed to argue balk, so you're going to get kicked out if you're a manager, a coach, or a player.
Ball, strikes, and balks are robotic. No balls and 1 strike. Balks, like check swings, are in the eyes of the beholder. Win the slow roller. Well, that was pretty easy, wasn't it? No runs, no hits, if you exclude Bird being hit in the shoulder. 1 man left. Last licks for the Dodgers. Gonzalez, Crawford, and Ethier coming up against Jonathan Papelbon. To pitch the 9th in search of his 13th save. And opposing hitters are hitting a measly 180 against him. And the Dodgers will be sending up Adrian Gonzalez, Carl Crawford, and Andre Ethier.
Jonathan Papelbon has been around for a long time, ranks 26th in all time in Major League Baseball history with 298 saves. Next, Bruce Sutter, and then Jason Isringhausen. Real close to 300 saves. That's quite a landmark.
Adrian Gonzalez 0 for 2 in his brief meetings with Papelbon. Is 0 for 11 lately. Carl Crawford 0 for 14 against Papelbon. And Ethier is 0 for 4. So none of the Dodgers who are facing Papelbon here in the 9th have ever had a hit against him. Gonzalez today has bounced to second, bounced to the pitcher, and has been struck out. Phillies had a 4-0 lead after 2. And at 5-3. This is about as close as the Dodgers have been for a while.
Dodgers can get somebody on. The wind is kind of kicked back up and blowing in from right, but out to right. These left-handed hitters can get one up there.
The right field, but right at Bird. 1 out. Papelbon gave up a run in his last outing 4 days ago down in Miami. And before that, 15 consecutive scoreless appearances. So Dodgers are down to their final 2 outs, and Carl Crawford coming up. Crawford 0 for 3 at fielder's choice and drove in his 16th run of the season today. No balls and 1 strike. So David Buchanan, 25-year-old rookie in his major league debut, stands to win. 5 innings, 2 runs, and 5 hits he gave up. 1 ball, 1 strike. What's turned out to be a lovely 72-degree Saturday afternoon in Philadelphia. There was a 1 in 3 chance of rain. It didn't happen. Two out.
Buchanan was needed because Cliff Lee was scratched a few days earlier with some elbow issues.
Lee on the disabled list. They don't think it's going to be a prolonged period of time on the DL. Surgery's not on the docket. So now the Dodgers are down to their final out, and it's Andre Ethier. A.J. Ellis on deck. Five runs and 7 hits for the Phillies. 3 runs, 6 hits for the Dodgers. Ethier takes a strike, and it's 0-1. Tomorrow, the final game of the road trip. And it's home for a 3-game series with the Reds, 4 with the Pirates, and 3 with the White Sox. On 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike to Ethier, starting in center field for the 2nd consecutive game. The Phillies 1 out away from ending a 3-game losing streak and winning for but the 9th time this year at home. Papelbon on 1-1. 1-2. The Dodgers 7-1 at Citizens Bank since 2012. A strike away from tasting defeat. Ethier into left field for a base hit, so the Dodgers stay alive. Ethier's 2nd hit of the day. He's 2 for 4. And A.J. Ellis coming up.
Ethier continues to put professional at-bats on every pitcher he faces, even in the part-time role, but full-time the last couple days.
Ellis has faced Papelbon only once, and he was struck out. Phillies 5, Dodgers 3, each side with 7 base hits. Ellis, no home runs and 1 RBI. No balls and 1 strike.
If Hanley Ramirez was healthy, he would have been in the starting lineup, and if he was healthy enough to hit, even if he was taking the day off, this might be a place where you would use him. But a very short bench for Don Mattingly.
Hanley, a last-second scratch today. Calf muscle tight. On 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike to A.J. Ellis.
Kemp has already been used. Butera you're not going to use here, and Van Slyke is the other healthy body on the Dodger bench.
One ball, 1 strike, and 2 out. That'll get your attention.
AJ let out a sound as this ball kept riding up and in. You, as a hitter, you are trained to keep that front shoulder in and stay with that pitch as long as possible. Trying to pick up the spin to see if it's going to break and be a curveball or a slider or a split, but that one just ran up and in on the chin.
So immediately, Carlos Ruiz went out to talk to Papelbon. On 2-1. That was a pitch I think AJ would like to swing at again.
You take a bushel basket of those and take his chances. This is a high fastball and he cuts it loose. You don't usually see him swing like this and open up like that very often.
So now the Dodgers are down to their final strike. Three and two. Ethier goes to second base with defensive indifference. Scott Van Slyke in the on deck circle, hoping to get a shot at it. Ellis has to keep the game alive. Wind blowing in and toward right. 3-2 to Ellis. Do it again. A 2-out single for Ethier. He's at second base. Papelbon a strike away from his 13th save. 3-2 to Ellis. Ball 4. And now Van Slyke comes up as the potential lead run. Sean Figgins in the on deck circle to pinch hit. Should Van Slyke keep the game going? A.J. Ellis at first base, not a burner. Strike, Milligan 1.
The Dodgers tie this game up or even go ahead. It'll be interesting to see the infield alignment now that they have pinch hit for Riesbell.
Well, you'll have Figgins. We can play third or short as Turner can.
Yep.
Slyke fouls it directly back. 0-2. Once again, the Dodgers are down to their final strike. In 27 career pinch hitting appearances, Van Slyke has 2 home runs and 9 runs batted in. The 0-2. 1 ball and 2 strikes. So Van Slyke has certainly hit in the clutch. 304 as a pinch hitter in his career. The Phillies took a 4-0 lead through 2 and have a 5-3 lead with 2 out in the 9th. Ethier at second, Ellis at first. And here comes the pitch. That's the ball game. Down on a slider, and the Dodgers go down 5-3. For the Phillies, 5 runs, 7 hits, 1 error. The Dodgers 3 runs, 7 hits, and 2 errors. Buchanan wins it 1-0. Herron takes a loss 5-3. Papelbon his 13th save in a game that took 2 hours and 37 minutes to play in front of 32,287. Yasiel Puig this afternoon, a single and a triple, a run scored in 4 at-bats. Now it's time to take a look at the Lexus player of the game. It was Ben Revere. Revere went 4 for 4 today. A double in the first inning and 3 more singles after that. He would score 3 runs on the afternoon, 3 of the Philadelphia 5 runs. Revere, the Lexus player of the game. So that's going to do it for us from Philadelphia. For Oral Hershiser, Alana Rizzo, and on our entire Sportsnet LA crew, Charlie Steiner saying good night, goodbye. We'll see you tomorrow morning, 10:30. First pitch, Dodgers and Phillies in the rubber game of the 3-game set. Now it's time to send it back to LA for Access Sportsnet Dodgers, presented by Hyundai.